Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hey everyone, welcome to Home Energy Design 101. How to design a beautiful home and make sure it's energy aligned. I'm your host Amanda Gates, and I'm an interior designer and Feng Shui practitioner. And these combined skills have made me a floor plan reading expert. Energy design is like astrology for your home and life. Who doesn't want more of that? I believe in all things pretty, and my team and I do the best damn design in the country. But I'll help you create a beautiful design that is also energy aligned to help you get the home and life you've always dreamed of. Are you ready? Let's do this. Yeah, right. The tips you offer aren't Feng Shui. They're completely common sense. Feng Shui was for cemeteries, not the living. How can people be so frickin' naive or dumb to believe in such unproven superstition? Wind and water? Yeah, that equals diarrhea. So Feng Shui is all shit. Hey everyone. This is Amanda, and I am so excited about today's podcast. I'm going to be talking to you all about this topic. Feng Shui is complete bullshit. As mentioned earlier, I'm an interior designer and Feng Shui practitioner, and I specialize in floor plan readings. And I've been doing this work for over 20 years. And despite all the amazing, kick-ass miracles, magic, pixie dust, and unexplainable things I've seen, there's always the naysayers who want to debunk what it is that I do and call bullshit. Here's the thing. When I met Raquel, she really wasn't sure what to think about me. A friend of a friend had recommended that she call me. And here's the thing. Raquel was Pentecostal Christian. She had some deep-seated roots in the Christian faith and went to church 5 times a week. Everything was based on her faith, and working with me, well, that was complete witchcraft. So I met Raquel at her home, and I had already looked at her floor plan. If you've been listening to the podcast, you now know what a floor plan reading is. And this is something that I've been doing for many years. This was not abnormal to me. But this was very unusual for Raquel. But here's the thing. Raquel had just come out of a very difficult marriage and finally found the one. Here's the problem. After only 4 months of elated bliss with this man, he upped and left. Unexplainable, not a trace, gone. Her heart was broken. After a very difficult 8-year marriage, she thought that she met the one. She was certain that this one was the one that she was going to get married to, have kids with, and live happily ever after. Who hasn't thought about that? Imagine going through a difficult marriage and after 8 years, feeling like there isn't any hope, and then meeting someone who changes everything. How would you feel if that person suddenly, without a trace, disappeared? Once again, you would be left heartbroken, devastated, and completely blaming yourself. And that's what Raquel was doing. She thought that it was her fault. What if I had done this? Maybe I should have done it this way. Should I have said this? Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. But here's the thing. She did not do anything wrong. It was in her floor plan. Yes, folks. It was in her floor plan. As soon as I saw her property line and her home, and I could see the details that were showing up, I knew exactly what she was experiencing. I nailed it before she and I even met. So, this woman of Pentecostal faith, who was deep-seated in her Christian faith, was sold. She was desperate and wanted answers because nothing that she was doing was working. And she was fearful because she had just started dating a new man and really, really liked this man. And she was afraid that it was going to happen again. And here's the thing. Had she not had me come to her home, and had she not had the faith in what it is that I do, she most certainly would have lost this one too. It's that simple. Sure, Feng Shui, at the level that I practice, is completely irrational, unreasonable, illogical, and completely unexplainable. I can't tell you why it works. I stopped trying years ago to explain why magic and miracles unfolds every day for my clients. And it was no different for Raquel. She told me that in her faith, they did amazing ceremonies to her home when she first moved in. They anointed the doors. They anointed the drains. They did blessings and prayer. Listen, folks, that is absolutely no different than what it is that I do in my Feng Shui practice. I'm all about ceremony. It's the basis of everything that I do. And one thing that I absolutely loved learning about Raquel is that when she was growing up, she said that in her faith, all that was asked of her as a child, all that was told to her that God required, was that she had a mustard seed size of faith. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've never seen a mustard seed, it's about the size of a period at the end of a sentence. Surely you can have that much faith. And that's what I loved about Raquel. She knew. She could feel it down to her bones. This woman knew how to hold faith. And that's all I needed from her. I just needed a mustard seed size of faith. That I knew how to help her, I knew how to fix it, and I knew how to change her life. Imagine having this experience and then having someone tell you, it's not your fault. You did absolutely nothing wrong, and you deserve to have love in your life. And she believed me. And here's the cool thing. We've all heard about this idea called the Harper experience. She's one of my favorite clients that I got amazing, incredible results. Listen to the first couple of podcasts. I've talked about the Harper experience. But what I loved about Raquel is that she had much, much more than that mustard seed size of faith. She had her entire body as a temple full of faith. And the very next day, she started seeing results from her Feng Shui. She started seeing energy and things shift in her life that were unexplainable, illogical, unreasonable, and she knew that things were working and that things were changing in the right direction. And never had she had more faith with the relationship that she was in. I love that. I love that. And here's the thing. I've been doing this for 20 years. So I don't care anymore about the naysayers. But man, do I love it when you give me your opinions. So here are my top 5 favorites why Feng Shui is complete bullshit. Reason number 1. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. Really? That's your argument. If you can't see it, it still could exist. Here's something that everybody needs to realize about Feng Shui. A lot of what I do is energy work. I'm dealing with the intangible. So yeah, you can't see it, But here's the thing. If you were to look at the visual spectrum, and let's just put this in perspective. Imagine, I think we learned the visual spectrum in grade school, that the visual spectrum is about 100 miles wide. 100 miles. If you were to take that and narrow it down to what the human eye can possibly see, we can only see about 1 mile of that 100. So you saying that because you can't see it, it doesn't exist, is essentially like saying 99 other miles aren't there on the road. Here's the thing. The visual spectrum has radio waves, microwaves, UV rays, X-rays, gamma rays, and a whole bunch of other things. We know they exist. Science has proven that they do. In fact, some of them are what you listen to in your car. Others cook your food. Can you see it? No. Can you see Wi-Fi? Imagine that. All of your devices work. You can't see it though, and yet your devices work. Reason number 2. Just because there's stuff placed around my house doesn't mean that it affects my job, my dating life, my health, etc. Yeah. Let's talk real quickly about the front door. And you're probably, if you've been listening to this podcast, you're probably so sick of me talking about the front door, and I love it because I want to drill this into your head so that you start doing it. I recently had a client who wasn't using her front door, and she started using it, and I kid you not, a week later, she got a windfall of cash, just out of the blue. Your front door represents opportunities and a whole slew of other things. So if you're not using your front door, or you can't use your front door because you're blocking it with your shit, trust me, you're blocking opportunities in your life. So where your stuff is placed in your house absolutely can affect your job, your dating life, your health, and many other things. Reason number 3. There's no science to back this up. Hey, listen, I know what you're thinking. This is some woo-woo hippie shit. How is changing my front door going to bring me more money? It's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. Yeah, it might be. Like I said, I can't explain it. I can't tell you why this works. But I can tell you it does work. And here's the thing. There is science that backs this up. And here is a kick-ass experiment that I encourage every single one of you to do right now. I just had a client do this to prove to her that what it is that I do really exists, and I wanted her to have visual proof. Take some cooked rice right now. Separate it in 2 different containers and label one with a positive symbol and label the second one with a negative symbol. And every day, I want you to talk to the positive one with beautiful language. Tell that rice that you love it, it's beautiful, and it's the most amazing rice you've ever seen. Then, on the flip side, I want you to look at the negative one, and I want you to tell it that it's ugly. You hate it. It's a terrible container, and you can't stand it. Wait about 2 weeks. Shoot me an email. Let's chat at thegatescompany.com. I'd love to hear about your results and what happens. If that ain't science, I don't know what is. Reason number 4. This is complete witchcraft. Voodoo, superstitious shit. I remember about 8 years ago, I was working with a gentleman by the name of Richard. And he had called me because he wanted to make his home beautiful. And I told him that our process was that we got the energy right before we started making anything decorated and pretty. And he asked me why we did that process. He said, "Wait, are you a witch?" "No, but I did just buy a broom at True Value, so I guess if that makes me a witch, then yeah, I am one." Richard wanted me to make his home beautiful. And like so many of my clients, he had been referred. He didn't know what he had really signed up for, but he told me, "I want to make it beautiful for my wife." And I said, "Great! Did you want to include her on our presentation appointment? I think she would really like to see everything." And to my surprise, Richard said, "Oh, I haven't met her yet." Here's the thing. That right there is faith. He wanted to create a beautiful space to attract the right partner. If that, my friends, is witchcraft, sign me up. Because I can do the love all damn day. I love the love. Reason number 5. Everything is not connected. You're crazy. Okay, this just might be my favorite one. I'm going to leave you with this story that my grandmaster that I'm still working with to this day shared with me. When she was over in Hawaii, she worked with a kahuna, a very well-respected kahuna, and every morning she used to follow him in his footsteps down to the water, where he would then get into his boat and go fishing. One day, on their journey down to the water, he grabbed his fishing line and his fishing net and started to push the boat out into the water. And then somebody walked by and said, "Oh, what a beautiful day to go fishing." And without them realizing it, he started folding up the net, placed it back in the boat, and pulled the boat back up on the sand. The lady said, "Oh my gosh, what happened? Did I say something? Why aren't you going fishing today?" And he replied, "Because the energy has now shifted. You told the fish where I was going. You told the fish what I was going to do. I will never be able to fish in this spot again." Here's the thing. We are all connected, and so is energy. We can't see it. Remember that visual spectrum that we were talking about? You can only see a very small portion of that. And that comment left a ripple through the matrix in this area. And as the wise kahuna as he was, he knew that that residue, that ripple, would remain. And this is why faith in this practice, in this medium of Feng Shui, matters. Even if it's just a mustard seed. Raquel knew when I showed up at her house that all she needed to give me was that mustard seed. Now I was fortunate. She gave me a whole lot more. She had faith down to her very, very tippy toes, all the way up to the top of her head. She was excited that I was there. Despite her faith and not knowing what it was that I was going to do, she believed. And that's all that it takes. Let's summarize. If you can't see it, it absolutely does exist. Trust me. Oh my God. Think about what you cannot see. Wi-Fi, wind, gravity, radio waves, gamma rays, infrared. Oh my God. There's a lot out there you cannot see. And trust me, it does exist. Where the stuff is placed in your home absolutely affects every area of your life. Now, I'm not big on clutter. You know, a lot of people think that Feng Shui is about moving furniture or the removal of clutter. Yes, it does have a portion in that. It does have some meaning. But listen, it depends on where those items are landing and where they're showing up. In next week's podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you about the energy centers in our home. And within those energy centers are 9 major life areas. And if you tend to accumulate stuff in the same energy center, that means something. You may not consciously know what the hell's going on, but trust me. Oh, trust me. Your subconscious is picking up on everything, and she is taking notes. There's no science to back this up. Yes, there is. Google Dr. Emoto Masaru. That's all you need to see. He's done all kinds of experiments on water, rice, and other substances. He is all the proof you need. And I'm sorry, but he has a PhD. If you need more proof than that, you're just ignorant. Number 4, it's witchcraft. It's hokey. It's voodoo. It's superstition. Sure. You can say that it's superstition, if that's your belief. But hey, a belief is still a belief. And until you've tried it, no. Until you've experienced it, you're not allowed an opinion. Because trust me, if Raquel had shut this down simply because she thought it was superstition, voodoo, witchcraft, she wouldn't have gotten the results that she wanted. She would not have been able to experience the magic that unfolds when you hold faith. All it takes is a mustard seed. And finally, everything is not connected. I don't even think that one deserves an answer, but I'll leave you with this. Have you ever had that experience where you're thinking of someone and then suddenly they call or text? Or how about your favorite song pops up in your head and you turn on the radio and it's on? Or you were thinking that you needed to take care of something, go someplace, and then all of a sudden it popped up? This literally just happened to me. I was considering hiring a company, a very obscure company that I've never even really heard of. It just came on my radar. I kid you not, I was at the dentist the other day, and a commercial for this obscure company came up while I was getting my teeth cleaned. I knew right then that it was the right decision, because it was no mistake, by far no mistake, that commercial came on when I was sitting there and still, because I never watch TV. And this right here, everything that we're talking about today, this is why I do design that's energy aligned. I want every freaking client that I work with to experience this magic. Did you know that 78% of the population lives in what I call below the cross emotions? Fear, shame, guilt, anger, rage. These are not good emotions. In fact, they vibrate very, very low on the spectrum. Above the cross emotions, love, joy, peace, happiness, very few of us vibrate in this area. In fact, many people choose to live in those below the cross emotions, blaming others, finding excuses as to why things aren't their fault. But here's the thing. When you embrace Feng Shui, when you embrace faith and belief that there's more out there, that magic could actually be real, miracles could be real, that's when everything in your life starts to shift and unfold. I'm sorry, but who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to change their life for the better? I don't care if you think this is ludicrous. I've already told you, I can't explain it, and I'll never be able to. I've been doing this for 20 years, and some of the shit that I've seen, I cannot explain. I'll never be able to. So if you try to ask me, well, why does this work? I don't know, but it does. Have faith. And if you've been choosing to live in those below the cross emotions, imagine what life could be like. How much more fruitful, amazing, beautiful life could be by just shifting to a new perspective. Raquel did. Sure, it was a little weird for her. She wasn't sure what she signed up for. She wasn't really sure what was going to unfold for her. But she's a believer. I'm telling you right now. She's 100% sold on what it is that I do. She's 100% sold on the idea of Feng Shui. And it's not Feng Shui to her. It's faith. And here's the thing. You all deserve this. You deserve to live your best life. You deserve to be surrounded by delicious, amazing, magical energy that makes you feel good. You're not meant to feel bad. You're not meant to live in those below the cross emotions. But if you do, it's toxic soup. If you live there, bad things are going to continue to happen. Shit's going to keep going wrong. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to spend your time? Most of us should all agree we want to live in above the cross emotions, right? All right, let's agree. All right now, we're going to do this. Feng Shui is not bullshit. And I don't care if you want to call it Feng Shui, faith, belief, witchcraft, voodoo. Hell, I don't care if you call it basket weaving. Whatever works for you. It is a state of mind. And that is why I create beautiful designs that are energy aligned to help each and every one of you get the home and life you want and deserve. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on this journey of Feng Shui is complete bullshit. I'm your host, Amanda Gates. Thank you for joining me on Home Energy Design. Next week, I'll be talking all about those energy centers within your home via a tool called the Bagua Map. Trust the vibe, because the energy don't lie.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Catch it, put it in a jar to have and to hold, to save for later. You cannot trust it to come again, to wait for you to find a pen and fill the